Okay, what's up, everyone? Gonna have another speed breakdown here today, and it's gonna be of Odell Beckham. And it's not only gonna be speed; we're actually gonna do some breakdown stuff too with his route running, just because I think that would be also an interesting little wrinkle to throw into really breaking down athletes and seeing what all they bring to the table. And I think what Odell really brings is not only that great top end speed, but also a really wide range of route running capabilities. And so first we'll look into his speed though. This is just him running the 40, and I think what really separates him at least at the beginning and what makes him into a really good receiver is he obviously has a lot of core strength. So you can see that knee drive right here. What's crucial about that beginning acceleration is really being able to keep that spine in that good angle. So you can see there's not a lot of spine movement going forward and back. It's very much though those knees getting really high, and then when he pushes off the ground, he even from this point of the run, he's able to push off and get enough height in his movement where the leg is already beginning to cycle through. So you can see how that front leg is out in front, which is great, and then he pushes back down and is getting really force early on in the movement to really create great acceleration. And when you get further into it, which we will now, you could really see that. So you can see how he gets that front leg up and through. He goes and extends, which is really, these are crucial movements in being able to really elongate the stride. But then he also has enough time in his push-off, where he pushes off the ground on the right leg here, where he can also come back and really land with that foot right underneath him. So he drives that leg up, he extends with that front leg, and then is able to really pull back and land with the foot right underneath the hip, and then begin it with the other leg as well. So I think what he has that's really unique is a really good hip flexion within that front leg. He does the same thing here where he drives that leg through, he goes and extends it, and then he's able to he has enough air or height in his run where he's able to get that foot right back underneath him and push off with all of his center of gravity kind of in a straight line. So his hip, his foot, and his head are all pretty well lined up, which is excellent. A lot of times what I'll see is people land with their foot more so like in this area where their foot's out in front of them, right? And what that does, that just makes it so now part of that toe off is to actually get the body to get back caught up. For him, when he's landing, he's already got the body caught up, so his push off just propels him upwards and forwards. And really the big concentration is being able to get that upward movement, because the reason he's able to do that is because he has this air time and can create that great cycle where that foot's off the ground and he gets that foot right back underneath him as he's trying to create more force. So now when he's pushing off, he doesn't have to, part of the push off isn't also bringing his body forward, it's just propelling his whole weight to continue forward. So that's a very important part of gaining speed into the actual run. We could also see, now we can continue to slow down. You could see same thing with all those elite level guys. Not a lot of movement within the spine. Gets plenty of symmetry within those shoulder flexions. So he's going back. He gets a little bit of extension in the arm, which is good. Then he goes back in that 90 position, and really not moving at all in the spine. So he's got a good, strong core. Looks like he has a little bit of shoulder movement from one side. So he kind of leans down into that left leg, kind of sinks down into there. And that's where it seems like he can cut a little bit better too. While his right leg is very strong, very stable, doesn't sink very much into that side. But I think what really is cool to see here is how he's able to really do a good job of transfer or push off that leg and get that foot right back underneath him. You can see it really well here. And he has, what you have to do in order to do that is have a lot of hamstring range of motion to be able to extend out as far as he does, and then be able to kind of tuck that pelvis in right here and get that weight right underneath them. I mean, a lot of strength in the hamstring, a lot of range of motion in the hamstring. It's excellent. Okay, we'll go now into a route running thing here. Just a couple steps, but I think it's an interesting thing just because, I mean, obviously, like we talked about, his route running is really a key part in his game. And so what we're seeing is really a good job of not dropping the shoulders at all, right? So he's keeping the same height in his spine the whole time, and then he does a good job of dropping everything together. And I think the key thing that we want to realize is notice how he extends his leg, and when he cuts, then he allows that leg to go outward, right? So right here, the knee's kind of inside compared to the hip, but then when he lands, you can see how his foot, he has more weight on the inside part of the foot, but then when he lands, all his weight transfers to the outside, right? So I think what the key point to realize is that you want to, when you're getting into your cut, is keep your body pretty well straight, or when you're going into your step, keep it pretty straight. I mean, there's a slight bend in the knee, and then when you land, hard outside with that knee, and you can see he allows the knee to bend, and it goes to a good stable position where now his foot is centrated, his knee's in a good position, then he uses that to really push off and get around. So I think that's an excellent example of really what you need to do to be able to cut. Again, you need good range of motion, so you can see he's really out in front of him, extending himself in that regard, and we already know that he has good strong hip flexors, so that's what makes him more stable, and there's a lot of muscles that you need to build in order to get this, but I think that you can build this and as long as you understand the technique behind route running, you can get a lot further ahead than somebody that just simply doesn't, right? And I think there's some biomechanics that you can get into consideration, which is really that keeping that leg straight, keeping that knee a little bit more inside, then landing and then going hard outside, because that really keeps that knee pretty safe, right? But it does, again, take a lot of strength both in the hamstring and in the hip flexors to be able to achieve that. We have exercises for that within our membership series, so if you want to get some more access to those exercises that will help you build that hip flexor strength, build that hamstring strength that you need to not only decelerate and accelerate, but also to get in and out of your breaks as well. So go ahead and check that out. Also, we have other speed breakdowns on this on our YouTube channel, as well as throw breakdowns, some exercises, stuff like that. If you have any questions or anybody that you would like to see us break down, please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Talk to you again soon.